Hello, my friends, here in US and across the world. Welcome back to my channel. I want to thank everyone for supporting me on my channel and anticipated updates, as most of you have been requesting that I give you a full update on the raid on my home. What happened with alleged attempted repossession. Case is still pending. Although all harassment charges against me, including felony, have been dismissed twice, and the only thing remains against me and my wife is the alleged obstruction. I personally have no idea how could that even remotely be an obstruction. To order us, my wife, to exit her vehicle when it was parked in our driveway, and me allegedly refusing to exit the home when the officers, the deputies of Clark County Sheriff's Office, criminals who have no warrant, were not welcomed on my property, were told multiple times to exit the property. They all refused. They had no warrant. The paper that they allegedly have now as evidence, and which I have obtained as a public record, is fake, draft, otherwise fabricated, and most likely tampered with, which will discover further evidence of all of those crimes that I am alleging in the process of the court proceedings. There's a lot to cover, of course. There's hours and hours of body cams. So what I'm going to try to do is probably break it down in segments and focus on the sheriff's office, the prosecutor's office, and the courts. And primarily, specifically, I will do a segment on the actual raid as to what actually transpired during the entire evening and morning hours. And I'm going to start with focusing on the sheriff's office, and specifically Sheriff Horsch of Clark County Sheriff's Office in Washington. I gave him a nickname of the gang leader, and that's exactly who he is. He's corrupt, he's a coward, and it needs to be exposed. Now, recently I had an opportunity to see him in person, face to face. I didn't have an opportunity to speak with him individually, but I did want to at least get a taste of what does he actually look like, because up until that point, he was hiding behind his closed doors in his office. Probably was a good idea. I had to show an extreme level of restraint. One, because I was requested to do so by my wife, and I honored her request. Although, briefly, I expressed my disapproval of him by shaming him. In other words, I gave him a hint. I'm not going away. I'm watching you. You're on my list. And in due time, Sheriff, I promise you, you will not get away. Nobody who commits crimes against innocent civilians, against innocent individuals, against innocent people, against innocent citizens will not get away. And unless you repent, unless you fix and correct what you have done, and what I mean by that is that you will make a public apology, public statement. You will have a conference, a press conference, where you are going to absolutely state that you were wrong, that your deputies were wrong, not the letter that you sent me after I submitted my complaint. As usual, right? Criminals investigate themselves and find no wrongdoing. Sheriff, that's not gonna fly with me. You will know that sometimes you come across somebody who just doesn't give up, who's not scared, and who will, just like you think you are relentlessly pursuing my criminal charges. You have no idea what my God is capable of. You see, Sheriff, I'm not just Siberian Tiger. I'm not just Leonid Krivalenkov. You see, Sheriff, I happen to be a royal son of the Most High God. And even though I walk in this fragile, relatively small body, I am filled with the Holy Spirit of the Most High God. And Sheriff, that's what makes me a dangerous man. See, I don't rely on my own strength, on my own ability, my own understanding. It's the God of Israel, who leads me, who opens doors that no one can close, closes doors that no one can open, makes a way when there is no way. You think for 1 second, Sheriff, that you are capable of putting up a fight against my God? Fool. Let me see you try. That's all. For now.
If we had shut down all of our lights, we could see him there.
Do they need these?
I don't know.
I'm gonna move up. Just gonna cover down until we can get people out.
Are we extracting the rest of the house?
What?
No, not.
He's extracting us.
Thank God, Jacob. Oh, baby. Oh.
Well, we still got all those kids inside, so.
I don't think we're.
Yeah, they're gonna leave.
I think we're leaving the kids, and let's leave.
Yeah,
I'm leaving.
For them, so. Well, they probably need to get their truck done, right?
Yeah. So we'll stay and escort the truck out of here. At least that's my assumption. But what the fuck am I doing with this thing? I'm still holding keys that. You know what? They can get booked at. It came out of the armor.
Oh, okay.
Take a guess. The fuck, dude, the fucking attitude on her.
Is Zach still up there?
Yeah, he's behind the armor walking out. Who's got the girl? Mom. You know what? The repo guys.
Oh, sweet.
Keys to that car we ripped her out of. Yeah.
I don't need the house keys. I just need the car keys.
Okay, well they can go with her. Thank you. Sweet. Thanks, guys. Dude, who?
No, I peppered his door. I have to look at the video and see if I got him once in his jacket or not. I think I hit the door though. Like as he was inside, the door was shutting. I think I hit it because when we went into the house, like I was fucking choking again. So definitely I got it puffed right when he was shutting the door, which was perfect. But yeah, I don't think anybody actually used force on it. Even in the house, the only thing we used force on was breaking his back window. So fucking parents are going away for a couple hours. So, all right, Eric. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. All right, bro. Dude, I didn't know that was what's his fuck face. White Prius guy?
Oh, yeah.
I thought that dude lived a little further east.
As soon as I saw the address on BOLO, I was like, oh, fuck, this is not
Oh, someone kept telling me about the Prius, and I'm like, dude, I thought he lived a little closer to Weed.
Yeah. Now you know.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Now I can't wait for PDRs. No. I'm the only one that fucking peppered him, though. He's definitely PDRing all my shit. Great.
Did you hear that he said that? Yeah, he didn't pepper him. You tear gassed him, is what he was saying.
Oh, that's fine.
Like, you fucking
so
tear gassed me, and I was like, man.
So I did the area. It was like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I popped, I think, 1 on his door as he was shutting it. And when we went into the house, like it was still floating in there, so it's still smoky.
Well, I know. I don't know if it was the house or when you got the car or something, but when we came up and grabbed the wife, we could smell it. We were getting it from her. We're like, oh shit.
Yeah,
She didn't really
I don't
like
know if I actually got any in the car because when I looked at it, it was empty after like I did 2 rounds in the car.
Yeah. Well, it was on her because me and Shin and Fist grabbed her. We started coughing a little bit, so it was definitely on her. She wasn't really, she didn't really like it. She was like, you know, like, fucking pissed. Like,
Yeah.
This hat was in the,
that in the armor?
yeah.
That's Nielsen.
Is he looking for it?
I don't know. Maybe a little bit. Apparently, that'll do it. So, that's what's on my neck. Yeah, as soon as I heard the whacking, I was like, oh, they're using a baton to try and get to that. So, yeah, I gave it to him. I heard he said he was like one and done. Pretty cool. Talk about it. Yeah.
Hey, bro, you look good in the turret. I couldn't even see you.
I'm glad it works.
Turtle.
Mm-hmm.
They work.
Does it work on normal glass though, or only see-through glass?
Works normal glass. You know what also works really good in those windows? It's fucking big old maglite.
You know what else works really good on those windows? Massive.
Hi.
Hello.
We're in the same room with my kids, like how that way.
Come on in.
I'm gonna sign in and just come in and take a seat.
Thank you.
There's some chairs in there.
All right.
Hey, thanks everyone for coming. We're gonna get started here. We'll have Sheriff Fortune here tonight, so he's gonna come up and say a few words. So we'll let him come up and say a few words, and then after that, the K9 guys are getting set up. We'll do a little demo that we'll put up on the screen along with our UAS, and we'll kind of talk through that. We'll have some radios out, you guys can kind of hear what we'd go through, like just kind of a mock track that we're gonna do. Then we'll go through a little bit of a presentation, and we'll have some breakouts. Before we break out at the end, there's a bunch of deputies that are up here that work on part of the recruitment team, so if you guys have questions afterwards, I encourage you to ask people questions and kind of do that. So our goal is here for you to leave here and have all your questions answered and feel good about going forward with this. So with that, I'll bring up Sheriff Forch.
All right, good evening, everyone. As Chris said, I'm Sheriff John Harch. The reason why I'm here in person is because I made a video for this and previous ones, but it was a very tough video, and I had a lot of bloopers, so I'm like, I'm not going to do the video. I'll just show up. I was out of town that one. So welcome. It's a great turnout, and I'm looking around at we have here representing the Sheriff's Office, great people like Sergeant Skidmore said. Ask questions when we're done here, and I'll take a few questions. I have to go to a board meeting here shortly, a Santa's Posse board meeting, which is one of the functions, kind of a nonprofit organization that we started years ago with the sheriff's office. So I have to go to that, but I'll talk just real briefly, take a few questions, and then leave it in their hands. I know you have some good demonstrations coming up. So anyways, been with the sheriff's office 36 years. I love it. It's a tough job, but I still love it to this day. Right now, we have 2 branches. We used to have the jail, but that's gone under the county administration. But we have our support branch. You might be here for that to learn, or both branches, or the enforcement branch. So there are some people that I've known that have gone to the enforcement branch, become a deputy, and they're like, I want to do something different, and they've gone into the support or civil, and vice versa. So you don't have to just choose one or the other necessarily. You get to get your feet wet and learn about the county. The number one reason I ran for sheriff was because I love the people that I work with. I consider the sheriff's office a family type environment. Yes, families do have issues. We squabble sometimes. We fight sometimes, but we still come together, especially when the going is tough. I've seen other police agencies, they treat their people more like a business. So I really try to, I was taught from the very beginning is we take care of our people first, they take care of the community, public safety, and I've always applied that philosophy. So we don't always get everything right. Like I said, sometimes families, they squabble, but I think for the most part, you ask anybody when the times are tough, that we circle the wagons, we come together as one unit. So does anybody have any questions that they want? You can ask anything you want. I'm here for a few minutes. You can ask me anything, what I like, what I don't like. I said I love it, but there's probably a few parts I don't like. But anything about law enforcement or the Clark County Sheriff's Office that you want to ask. Go ahead, sir.
Do you have a case that you remember?
Do I have a case that I remember? Boy, there's a lot of them. I think the best case I worked was when I worked in the drug task force unit as a detective, and I worked on an organized crime, a drug task force with the feds, and we did some major cases. And then I became a supervisor, and it was incredible some of the cases that you saw from around the country, people and the networks that you could take down, and you can make an impact actually with drug enforcement. So that was probably my most memorable time working those kind of cases. Anything else? Go ahead.
I know that you guys are over Clark County. Is it hard to work with other agencies like Vancouver PD or Richfield PD or other agencies?
No, it's a good question. Did you guys hear that? There's about 8 or 9 other police agencies in Clark County. It includes State Patrol, Battleground, Richfield, Oswego, Camas, Vancouver, Tribe, College Tribe. I might be missing one. In Southwest Washington, I really see we come together. We go to each other's calls. If it's an emergency, we'll get dispatched. Somebody's down in Vancouver coming up from the jail. They'll get dispatched. So we work together. We train together. The SWAT teams are combined. We have a few other units that are combined together. So I really think that I've seen other agencies. I know in the LA area, I know I have some friends down there. They've had some problems when they work together. Pride and whatnot. But I think for the most part, we do a great job, and we try to collaborate, and we can hear each other's radios, so that's great, the communication. So I think for our area, we work great. I call the Battleground chief, the Vancouver chief, in the middle of the night, I need X, Y, and Z. And it'll be a 1-minute conversation. They'll say, you got it, and I'll hang up. There's no arguing or anything. We'll figure out everything out, the money stuff. A few weeks later, we'll argue. But in the middle of the night, you want people that come to your aid. So it's great around here. But I still want you to apply with Clark County. Anything else? Any questions you have? All right, I'll tell you what is, like I said, I see the people that are in the back, Sergeant Skidmore, everybody here, use them. Ask them anything you want on either branch and what they like, what they don't like. Do your research. I always tell people, find out the good, the bad. Ask about everything, the benefits, the work hours, what they think of me. I have no problem with that. But I encourage you to look into it. We have great opportunities here, good benefits, and so that's it. No other questions? All right, I'm going to stick around for a few minutes. I want to see how the presentation goes. This is my first one I've got to be at live. Great turnout here, so thank you all for coming. All right, I'm going to watch you.
So we're just going to get started until I get the call here that they're all set up for the demonstration part of it. So we'll go through a couple things tonight.
Shame, Sheriff. Shame.
We'll start with talking about enforcement.
Shame on you.
And then we have one of our academy instructors is up here.
Shame on you, Sheriff.
If you have some questions for the academy, he'll come talk about the academy for a little bit. And then we'll get into the support side, and we'll have our HR manager, Chris McFarland, will come up and talk about some opportunities for support. And then, like I said, at the end, we'll have some questions. So kind of, this is a little bit about who we are, what our structure is, kind of the things that we do here in Clark County. Really, our goal in Clark County, and the reason we all work here, is we want to make the community a better place. There's about 157 authorized at the enforcement and about another 80 in our support branch. And the vast majority of us live in this county, work in this county, raise families in this county, and want to make this county a very livable place to work. So that's really kind of what it boils down to. We're the oldest law enforcement agency in the state of Washington, established in 1849. About 521,000 people you can see here that we serve. That's how many people in the county. We directly serve about 250,000 of those as kind of our primary response area that live in the unincorporated parts of Clark County. Our mission, like I said, is to protect and safeguard our community. We all have a seriously vested interest in making this a great place to live. Our structure, I'll just show you kind of what our org chart looks like. So we have the elected sheriff, Sheriff Horch, under sheriff, and then 3 branch chiefs and 6 commanders that kind of make up, and then along with some civilians that make up the other managers that we have in our branches. And ultimately, kind of, that's the people that kind of run our sheriff's office and kind of make some decisions for us. How it affects more where most of the people that are here is kind of like our patrol operations. So this is just a sample of our deployment. You can kind of see, if you're looking up here, we got a day and a night shift patrol commander, and then we're broken down into an A side and a B side, and then kind of how we deploy out, and you can kind of see what our day shift, our swing shift, our graveyard, and we have some specialty SWAT members that do kind of a modified schedule for it. So ultimately what that means is there's 12 sergeants and 60 deputies essentially that are assigned to patrol. So that makes up about half of our group that works in enforcement, and the other half works in specialty units, from our major crimes to our traffic detectives to all the different units that are out there. And kind of that's really what it is. It's all about responding to calls for service and then finding proactive ways that we can help the community. One of the things that I love about our sheriff's office is we really empower deputies, give them a lot of autonomy to be able to go out and solve problems. So if you're working in a beat and you see that there's issues there, the expectation is you take on kind of those projects or take on those challenges and figure out how you're going to make it solve problems for people. We do that a lot by working with our crisis, by working with schools, by working with all the other entities that we can try to make, again, ultimately the goal is to make our county more livable. So we have a bunch of other specialty opportunities as well. This is just a handful of them. You guys can visit, if you haven't already visited our gocsso.com website. It's got a list of all of our specialty units, but we have a lot of opportunity for the people that are working full-time in patrol or full-time on detectives. Some of these positions are full-time positions. A lot of our specialty is additional duties. So stuff that we get to do in addition to working either detectives or patrol, like being in our UAS team or operating marine boats and doing honor guard or some of those kind of things. So there's a lot of different opportunities for variety that we have. Community outreach, that's something that we're pretty proud of as working in our community. I'd say the vast majority of our deputies' involvement comes through our Police Activities League. That's where we team with a lot of the local schools, and we have deputies that go in, everything from reading programs to sponsoring a classroom and getting a chance to get involved. Sports programs that we teach at. We have guys that run basketball camps and football camps. We do all kinds of things to allow opportunities for kids. Neighborhoods associations, something else that all of our patrol folks, I think there's something close to 20 neighborhood associations in the county. Deputies get assigned to those. They go to the monthly meetings or quarterly meetings when they do those and get a chance to kind of see what each of these communities are having as issues or can answer questions for. Okay, get into some of the minimum qualification stuff. You can see what's on there. You got to be 21 or at least 20 and a half before you can start applying on the deputy side. There is no upper age limit. I get that question all the time. There is no upper on that. Support side, you just have to be 18, but the rest of that applies to both of our branches there. Enforcement. So this is kind of some of our pay structure on there. This is just a pay chart, shows hourly pay rates that we had for each of the years that we've been able to get. You can see up there I have kind of some averages. So if you were to go off of our base averages at like the bottom end and you multiply it out during our normal hours, about 89,000. The top end, you get up to about 127. That's at our base hours. A lot of the stuff that we do from our training and to any of our specialty units happens a lot on some overtime. So I pulled averages. You can see in the black box there, our average deputy who has 4 years made $147,000 in 2024. That's because there's just an abundant opportunities of times to work if that's what you're interested in doing. We start paying you from the steps, right? As soon as you get in, there is no kind of entry wage. So while you're waiting to go to the academy, you're earning your full pay and benefits. We've got a couple premium pays you can see up there. Education and our specialty is a big one. Again, there's about 18 different units that are a part of or qualified for that specialty assignment pay of 5% while you're there. You can stack that specialty assignment and that education pay. So if you had a bachelor's degree and were in a specialty unit, you're getting 9% on top of whatever your base hours are. I'm happy to talk more in depth if people have other questions about kind of some of our kids stuff afterwards. Okay, just kind of coming into benefits. One of the big things I like to point out, that's our paid leave accrual. You'll notice that even as you start, you're earning 18 hours a month of vacation, which is pretty awesome for most jobs out there. We have definitely a work hard, play hard mentality. So we do a 4-day on, 4-day off schedule. And during that 4 days on, you're plugged in, you're showing up. 4 days off, we want you to take off. We want you to to decompress and do that. So we give plenty of opportunities to take vacation and take leave in order to do that. Everyone on patrol and every of our specialty for enforcement gets a signed take-home card. Again, we do a 4-day on, 4-day off. We've talked about going to some other schedules, but ultimately that 4-day on, 4-day off is really popular with folks. So definitely they like it. Everyone who's working here gets the law enforcement officer and firefighter LEOF 2 plan retirement. That's essentially if you got to do at least 20 years, be 53 years old, and then you get a multiplier of 2% per year with some changes in the middle. Again, that's a little bit more detailed if you guys have questions about how that system works and how you answer some of those questions. We have excellent medical, dental, vision plans. We either have two options, either Kaiser or Regents Blue Cross Blue Shield plans. 457 deferred comp, and then we also get the ability to earn comp time, and we have some Kelly hours based on our schedule. I said 4 days on, 4 days off. A couple times a year you'll have training days, so you'll only have 3 days off. You got to come back to work that day early, and so we compensate you with some Kelly hours, which are hours you can use as vacation, or you can take paid, and then we have 7 holidays that we pay in. So you can see, again, a normal person on 4 years, that'd be 248 hours of PDO that they're going to accrue, which is pretty good time off. Okay, scheduling, this is how enforcement branch is set up. Again, we kind of have the patrol side and we have our specialty side. So specialty is all of our detective units, our folks that do extraditions, that work at courthouse, that work downtown, that have non-patrol schedules. Is kind of how we divide that. So patrol, again, 4 days on, 4 days off. We have 3 work shifts. You can see what the hours are there. That's an 11.75 hour workday, so it's just a little bit short of a 12-hour day is how we're structured. In our specialty positions, we typically, they're either Monday through Thursday, Tuesday through Friday, and they work 10.5-hour days, and so some of them are 6 a.m. to 4:30, some people are 8 to 6:30, or kind of whatever fits and whatever works with that schedule. So a lot of opportunity. Most of our folks will come in, work patrol for a couple years, and then you start looking into like what specialty units they want to get into. So it's a nice change when you're not, going into a specialty unit. You can kind of have a little bit different flow. A lot of our specialty units have caseloads or call-out responsibilities because they're in detectives or major crimes. Oh, here, I think we're getting I'm gonna take a pause here. You guys set up? Okay, yep, I'll swap this out here. It's one here. Yep, let me get you set up first and then we go. All right. We'll help you guys take your radios off. 6, 7 if you want to bring up one upstairs, one up here, and the one in the back. Okay, So again, this is part of that little demo. You'll hear them. We're going to kind of dispatch some radio traffic here is going to dispatch to a wanted person. And our K9's out looking for them. What you're seeing here is a feed from our UAS, which is our unmanned aircraft systems, one of our drones. The feed on the right is like a real color normal, and the feed on the left is going to be that's an IR, is what you're looking at for it there. So, when you're ready.
Kansas City 1, Kansas City 2, and any unit 2 available for a wanted person.
We're good. Yeah, it's our K9 telling dispatch to go ahead.
Number 5 officers, 179th Street, military white male, 6 foot, big puffy clothing, as well as communicating for robbery and felony assault.
So if you didn't get that, that'd be like a typical dispatch message where I'm looking for a wanted person. He gave physical description of the person, the location, and then the crime.
UAS is in the area when I launched a drone.
So our UAS pilot saying he's going to launch a drone.
Taking off. Home point updated. Check map to confirm.
And that's the drone talking to you.
Is he a foot or in a house or a car?
So he's flying. That's the car he's looking at. Is this car that's right outside this
I think property was holding him with foot walking on the property.
You can see on this one the heat. You can see kind of heat signatures and what they kind of will generally look like. You can see all these cars are warm. That's what that white is, kind of the hot color on this feed. So this would be pretty typical. I'm looking for a wanted person.
Headed for the drone street kid.
And that guy.
More arrived in the beginning of the search. Let him come in.
So the guy here saying Henry 4, that's our canine handler. This would be pretty typical. Again, we get people into the area, get an area locked down, and then get a UAS up in the air. About 21 UAS operators on our teams. So pretty much every patrol squad has them and has the ability to get out there.
Henry 4 arriving. Are you building guys on the game? Yeah, we'll look at it. Dispatch, we have a better direction of travel.
Okay, direction of travel. They're trying to figure out where this guy was going.
Yeah, I've seen on the east side of the building, headed southbound on the access road. Last caller said something about lady hiding in a tree line on the property.
64, psychiatric, 2805.
Copy, UAS will be going to search in the tree line.
Priority 3, engine 64.
Henry 4, we need demons to the south. We have a unit searching, maybe in the fairground area. Contain this guy, he's still there.
So you heard he's saying this would be typical. We want to contain this area if we know someone's here, so we're trying to get units.
Copy, yeah, we're beginning to
South side, east side, west side.
Priority 2, engine 62, breathing problem.
Hey, Rocky, let me know what you guys on.
Northwest 132nd Street, Unit A. Priority 2, engine 62, breathing problem.
Yeah, we're still doing the K9 warrant.
Northwest 132nd Street, Unit
Copy,
A,
good, sir.
map C 3127.
Henry 4, can we speak medical? And we'll dispatch copy of station medical.
So you can see the group traveling there. The IR operator, you can see that the people moving pretty good through there. So he's just going to provide that nice overhead cover for them. That UAS guy is looking, trying to clear areas ahead. These guys are working at night. It's pretty dark out there.
Control, stand by for K9 warrant. Morning with the K9! You have 5 seconds, make it for a center, please don't be find you, he will find you. You're under arrest. Come on, we're going to get your hands. look up the kid on the road, 1824.
So you can see split screen once you get outside the lights. It's pretty dark out there, so that's all you
You
need to
had
hit.
picked up the subject, 100 yards directly south of your position.
You'll see right here.
GPS signal lost. Engine 61. Nike address 2805 Northeast 129.
Sure, got it.
Priority 3. Engine 61.
So he's playing with the zoom on that camera, which is why he's in and out there.
Northeast 129th Street.
We're working southbound just to the south of the precinct.
So if that test happens on a Saturday, so you think you can finish on here? If not, right on the back. Yeah, name, I for sure start looking at enforcement supporter. It should be, I was supposed to get it, but I
Megan, did you make it for City Vancouver? Yes. Yes. Like, as it wasn't, it's a simple question. Give as example how to handle problems, things like that. Just like,
And what I'm going to try to include in this video as well is how despicable, how criminal, how low life deputies of Clark County Sheriff's Office are. And after they raided my house, violently arrested me and my wife, kidnapped us, fired pepper balls at me, my wife, my children, my house, as I watched my children suffocate, and especially my youngest, who later on, both of my youngest children had to be taken to the hospital. But I requested 911 emergency response, and the ambulance never showed up. Later I learned that most likely the ambulance was obstructed by deputies and refused to show up to the house to render aid to my youngest children. And so I watched them vomit, suffocate, dizziness, all because the criminals of Clark County Sheriff's Office had an extreme desire to retaliate. For what? Because I was a threat to them, exposing their corruption. So they had a BOLO issued on me. Sheriff, you hired your deputies as hitmen, and you put a target on my body. You put a target on me, on my house, on my car. And this is the document that I'm going to read from, obtained as a public record, that BOLO that you issued on me. And let's start with what the initiating officers state here in this BOLO as an alleged threat to your deputies. This first one comes from Sergeant J. Rappel, number 4850, dated 01/05/2023. So for a little over a year, you and your gangsters, and may I pause and say this, Sheriff? They are amongst you who are honorable, who are worthy of respect. I've met them personally. I've shaken their hand. So primarily what I'm addressing here are the ones who I have met on the street who happen to be corrupt, and the ones who were participating in the raid on my home, carrying out the retaliation for the First Amendment. You knew about it. You approved it. And all those who knew were willing participants. So here this BOLO reads: Leonid Krivolenkov is associated with this address, and you have my address listed. Possible resident. He is known to follow law enforcement around in his white Prius. You knew my vehicle. In an attempt to pull them over by flashing lights. He is very confrontational and records his interactions. He curses and orders law enforcement around in an apparent attempt to escalate encounters which he creates. Really? Please be aware of any calls to this address. Interesting, Sheriff. Interesting. And final sentence? No PC at this time. No probable cause of any crime. So I got a question for you, Sheriff and Sergeant Rappel. If there is no crime, and obviously, clearly, documented, no crime, why is there a BOLO issued on me? Let's keep reading. Leonid Krivolenkov is known to law enforcement around in his white Prius in an attempt to pull them over by flashing his headlights and tailgating. He is very confrontational and records his interactions. He curses and orders law enforcement around in an apparent attempt to escalate encounters which he creates. No PC at this time. Information and officer safety only. Once again, where's the crime? Doesn't any one of you understand that recording police in the course of their duties on public property is constitutionally protected and perfectly legal, as you have confirmed it? But yet, at the same time, I'm somehow a threat? Oh yeah, you're right. I am a threat of exposing your corruption, of exposing your criminal conduct, of exposing your official misconduct. Now I understand. Silly me. I don't know. It took me, I guess, a while to come to that conclusion. Sure, you guys are brilliant in your in your investigations. Yes, I'm sure you guys are very, very brilliant individuals. All right, let's keep going. Who's next on this list? Oh yes, Sergeant K. Schmidt, 3546. Another sergeant, another brilliant individual. Well, here's what he writes. Leonid P. Krivolenkov made statements to Clark County Sheriff's Internal Affairs. Yeah. That's right after I met with him. Or, excuse me, right before I met with him, and the next day I met with him. Internal Affairs via telephone and in person, that if he continues to see deputies stalking him and going by his residence, he was going to stand his ground and physically defend himself. Sounds like a legitimate reason to stand my ground and defend myself. When I got deputies committing crimes, coming by my house, stalking me, surveilling me, planning the execution of the retaliation. Sounds like a legitimate reason? Don't you think, Schmidt? Oh, and by the way, Schmidt, isn't it perfectly legal to defend yourself against criminal attacks by an individual, even if he is a police officer? And didn't the courts in Washington stated multiple times on record, in multiple case laws, that a person who is lawfully engaged in self-defense doesn't have a duty to retreat? Leonid would not elaborate further, but would just repeat his comments over and over. He has made further comments about law enforcement being tyrants, and he is going to stand up to tyrants. You're absolutely right, I will stand up to tyrants. Absolutely right. And you're finding that out, don't you? Don't you? Let's keep reading. And in this one of the questions here that it says, describe exactly what you want entered in the BOLO. Leonid has extensive contacts with Clark County Sheriff Office deputies, showing up at calls, confronting them on the street or in parking lots to accuse them of stalking him and other law violations. Leonid will record each interactions with his cell phone. Leonid is extremely confrontational and cannot be reasoned with. He is attempting to get law enforcement to escalate the confrontation. He recently made vague threats to Clark County Sheriff's Office IA internal investigation to physically defend himself and stand his ground if he feels he is being stalked by LE law enforcement. No probable cause at this time. Officer safety information for him, his vehicle, and his address. Why would that be necessary again? Sheriff, you got a lot of explaining to do. Sheriff, you are a crooked individual. This document establishes undeniably that everything you did against me, and specifically on that night, was in fact motivated by retaliation. In fact, a retaliation against the First Amendment rights, which I was openly exercising. Sheriff, you may want to consider retiring very, very soon. Step down from your position. Because so help me God, I am going to submit all of the records I have obtained to every body, public body, that is capable, willing, and will most likely investigate and prosecute you for your crimes, the crimes the deputies have committed, Yeah, Sheriff, you know, I probably would agree with you that, yeah, you need to start recruiting a bunch of deputies because, yeah, maybe a good portion of them, a dozen or two, are gonna have to probably go away. Quit, retire, get fired, or most likely, which would be the just thing, is go to jail. And then, after they're convicted, spend some time in prison. Maybe state, maybe federal. Most likely both. You get what I'm saying to you, Sheriff? You get what I'm saying? All because you got deputies who just couldn't swallow their ego. Just couldn't swallow their ego. Well, what can I say? And let's see where it all ends. I know for a fact, for me, it ends spectacularly in my favor. Beautiful. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. For you? Nah. Not so much. Not so much. You're gonna have to step down in disgrace, in shame. Because your conduct, you disgraced the uniform. You disgraced, and your deputies, Sheriff, dishonored the uniform, the honorable uniform. So you see, Sheriff, I'm not against police, but I will not stand for dishonorable conduct. Till next time.